I've had several conversations in the last week about the five languages of love, and but specifically around affirmations. And I've got to do a video on it because when these things come up several times in a week, I think, right, there's a real need to talk about this. So, as an FYI, tomorrow's webinar in the Happy and Fulfilled group is going to be on the five languages of love, and I'm going to explore this in a lot more detail. So if you're not in the group already, ladies, please come along and join us at Happy and Fulfilled. But I've been thinking about what it is about, specifically around affirmations, that we can sometimes feel really stuck with, and we can feel sometimes quite triggered by. And these conversations that I've had, 3 conversations literally this week, are around really similar issues. Women feeling like they are unsupported at home, that their partners either take them for granted or just aren't pulling their weight, and resentment, in inverted commas resentment, it's quite an emotive word to use, but resentment around their partners needing to be affirmed, to be praised, and not my clients not wanting to do that and thinking, well, why should I thank you for doing what you should be doing anyway? And of course it's frustrating. Like, of course it's frustrating to be praising our partners for things that they should be doing anyway, especially, I think, if you're not getting praised yourself. I don't want to get too caught up in what the need of affirmation is about. I will go into that in more detail in the webinar tomorrow. Tomorrow, Thursday. But I'm thinking more about actually how these things can spiral, like how these situations can take on a life of their own when we get stuck in our corners, and we get stuck in our corners thinking that the other person needs to be doing X or the other person needs to be doing Y. And I think that feeling of not wanting to make a move unless the other person is making a move first is very, very common. It's a very normal response for a lot of people, but also incredibly unhelpful. And I mean, look, I know that in these videos I make quite a lot of sweeping statements, and it's not my intention to be to be ridiculous. It just happens that I work with a lot of women, and a lot of the stories that I hear are quite similar. That's not to say that's how it is for the whole of the population. It's just how it is for most of the clients that I work with. But in these examples that I have in my mind, where the women are doing the majority of the housework, of the domestic stuff, looking after children, keeping the house, doing all of the running around and the various bits and pieces. And that's not to say that the partners, the husbands, the men aren't doing any of it, but it's disproportionate to some. And so when that happens, the ability to retreat into your corner and kind of dig your heels in is very easy. I think it's very easy. And then, you know, how that can then unfold is that what happens is that with you being stuck in your corner, there becomes this kind of weird synergy that then happens where the void then becomes, the void between the two of you becomes bigger, because the men might not feel that they are very well, that the communication between the two of you isn't very good. They may feel like they are either unneeded or unwanted. They may need validation, which you're not giving to them because you feel angry and resentful that they're not helping, and why should you? And this kind of spirals, this kind of takes on, as I said, takes on its own kind of life. And what can happen is that you then end up at complete loggerheads. Now, two of the conversations that I've had this week are about people actually living like parallel lives, and like literally feeling like they are, there is no intimate relationship there. And I don't mean just from a sexual point of view, but like there is no actual connection there at all. Because there's no communication about what needs to be done, and any communication that is being done from a defensive point of view, and not from a how are we going to fix this together point of view. And that then becomes that can then become confrontational and really quite unhelpful. And I think it's just an important thing to flag up, really, an important thing to acknowledge within ourselves, within yourselves, within your relationship, is like how do we get out of this? And the crux is that in order to get out of it, we sometimes have to make the first move, and be the light, if you like take that first step forward into getting things back to how you want that to be, whether that is starting the conversation, whether that is asking how you can do it together, whether that is giving out the affirmations, or whether it's something else. Like it can often feel like it's down to you to make the first move, and that bites. Like, I know that bites. I've heard, I know it bites, and I hear that it bites. So I know for a lot of people that is very tricky, but that doesn't mean that it's not important all the same. And so if you feel like you are in that situation, then I think it's really important to understand like how you've got to where you are, why you think that you're there, and also what is holding you stuck in that place. Because I think once you understand what is holding you stuck, you are in a much better position, obviously, to be able to fix it, but you're also in a better position to be able to communicate it. And once you're better able to communicate why you feel the way that you do in a way that is non-confrontational, you're in a much better position to be able to fix it going forward. Sometimes you've got to do things that feel uncomfortable to you in order to make things better. And we always need to be leading by example, whether that's in our relationship or whether that's, crucially for our children, in order to be able to show them how we want it to be done, and how to fix difficult situations, and how to, create a happy and harmonious family environment. So there you are. Please let me know what you think about that. Please drop your comments below. I'd really love to hear your comments and feedback on that. And here's to happy, harmonious homes.